Hey everybody, this episode of Watch and Listen is, as always, brought to you by Crown and Caliber. Crown and Caliber has all the watches that you are dreaming about on a daily basis. You know how you waste time when you're thinking about buying a car on Craigslist or any of those other sites, and just late at night, I am on Crown and Caliber browsing what can I burn my money on next. They have over 2,000 watches in stock from over 40 different brands, all the major heavy hitters, and more importantly, they're enthusiasts. If you have questions about a watch, if you want to have them help you find a watch, or if you want to sell a watch, Crown and Caliber has you covered. They will buy for you, they will buy from you, and they will get you the watch that you dream about. Help you get it serviced. They have watchmakers and technicians and in-house. And they can do cleaning and polishing and all that other good kind of stuff. Crown and Caliber also, we have to thank them because they send us a lot of the watches that we are featuring on the show. So it's very nice of them to trust us with literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of watches at the other end of UPS there. So crownandcaliber.com, and for everyone in the audience, I am offering a one-time use discount code MATT150, M-A-T-T 150 at Crown and Caliber. Will get you $150 off anything Crown and Caliber sells. You can only use it once, so choose wisely, but use code MATT, M-A-T-T, in the Crown and Caliber online store to get $150 off. This episode of Watch and Listen is also sponsored by Beeline Coffee, my favorite coffee brand. I like it so much, I had them put my name on the bag. You can get the Smoking Tire Roast, but I imagine we're going to probably convince them pretty soon to make us a Watch and Listen roast. Although technically, now that I think of it, you can get a Weiss Watch Company roast as well. Cameron's got a roast. And now the Beeline Coffee Company has espresso. They just added it to the store. So go check that out. Use code CHRONO, C-H-R-O-N-O, CHRONO, for 15% off anything in the Beeline Coffee Company store. And that's just beelinecoffee.com. Follow them on Instagram. They are gearheads, watch heads, and addicted to coffee beans as well. This episode of Watch and Listen is going to be an interesting one because it is going to feature a topic that is probably the most requested topic that you guys have sent in so far. We're going to talk about cheap watches. So these are the entry-level watches that can help get you into the game if you're interested in collecting, but you don't have thousands of dollars to spend at Crown and Caliber. I understand. I have been there. And so we're going to talk about cheap watches. Both Cameron and I own a few that we like, and we have some others totally worth talking about. So here you go. Enjoy this episode of Watch and Listen. Welcome back to Watch and Listen, episode 6. Today we're going to talk about cheap watches, and the man who's going to help me do it, Mr. Cameron Weiss. Yeah.
Cheap watches are a tough subject for me because I don't have too much experience with them, but I do get excited for certain watches.
You don't have experience with cheap watches. No, this is an interesting topic. I'm excited to get into it. Before we do, real quick, a couple of maintenance items. First off, this is the first episode of Watch and Listen that we've recorded since launching the actual show. Everything else was a pre-episode. And now we have heard your feedback, which we have appreciated. Most of it's been pretty good. And those of you who haven't, the one guy who was super pissed at my pronunciation of Yager.
I saw that.
Like really offended.
I really felt bad I didn't correct you sooner on that one.
He was really offended.
Yeah.
Okay, I get Yager le Côte.
Yeah.
Is that closer? Yager le Côte?
GG is
is the most Americanized pronunciation of the second part. Is it like Colt? C-O-L-T?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yager le Côte.
If you're American, Jaeger LeCoultre.
Yeah.
But really, the safe thing to do is just always use initials.
Just JLC.
JLC.
JLC is legit.
When I worked for Audemars Piguet, nobody liked to say Audemars Piguet.
It's all AP.
They all want to say AP because they're scared of the pronunciation of Audemars Piguet.
Yeah. I like to say it how Jay-Z says it because it's just fun, you know? But so there's that. Okay, I'm sorry to that guy.
Yeah.
We've learned. Additionally, check us out here. Watch cam. We have heard your comments on our watch cam, and we have gotten a new watch cam. It has a glare shield. It has an autofocus, and it even makes this Timex look really good. We should put a nice watch under there, but that's for another episode.
Yeah.
And so that is good. Additionally, all the places that you can find us, just so you know. You can find us on ShoutEngine. This is our home hosting site, shoutengine.com/watch and listen, written out. All our episodes are here. Oh, and you can even see our next episode that is airing or has just aired, Chef Tyler Florence. That was last week by the time this one comes out. Sorry, folks. Additionally, we are on YouTube. For those not understanding this is a video show, it's a video show. We don't have youtube.com/watch and listen podcast yet. And that's because the channel needs to be live for a certain number of days and get a certain number of subscribers before you can do that. And so, as you see here, we have crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark, which is great. Thank you all for subscribing. I'm going to do a big subscribers-only giveaway for a really expensive watch with Crown and Caliber pretty soon. Like, I don't know if we're going to give away a Rolex, but we are going to give away something dope, only to subscribers. So if you use YouTube, subscribe. And you can also get us on iTunes, Google Play, any of your Android-based or iOS-based podcast apps. They all come from the same place. And on YouTube. We're live everywhere, Cameron. Have you heard notes from people that things we need to do on the show?
Oh yeah, I've been getting emails and Instagram messages.
Yeah. What are people asking for?
So many requests. I've been writing them down.
Yeah.
Little certain things they want to see, watches they're interested in, or even people who have certain watches and they want to either send their watch in and have it on the show.
Isn't that funny? People want to send us watches.
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean, people want to bring cars, but when I drive people's cars, like, they're there.
Yeah.
You know, they're not just putting it in a box and sending it. But that's awesome. I'm happy all the people are enthusiastic.
Yeah.
You know what I got a lot of emails about? The Bulova Accutrons. A lot of Accutron owners out there.
Yeah.
And so they all 7 of them hit me up and said that it's so weird. The emails are the same as cars. Like, I have a watch. Do you guys want to test it? Like, test it? What are you talking about? Test it.
The Accutron is a weird watch, and it's got just as odd of a following as
I bet.
It's one of those things that it takes a special kind of person to really be interested.
It's like it's like MGs.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Wow. I got a tickle in my throat. I apologize. So today, it's all about cheap watches. This is a good topic, right? Because this is where everybody starts. I mean, nobody just starts with a $5,000 watch, right?
Yeah, this is where I started. And actually, this is nicer than where I started. The watches we have
you
here
started
are
with
pretty
Mickey
nice.
Mouse.
Yeah.
Which now Mickey Mouse is moving up through ironic nice into actual collector's item, right?
Yeah.
I started with like a Fossil, I think. I think my first watch. Actually, no, I had a OG Casio digital, OG in the 80s, and then a Fossil watch in high school before going to my first Swiss watch.
Yeah.
So, but we've assembled an assortment. I don't know, dozen or so watches here. I haven't brought anything that's more than $250. I brought one watch that was like $700, but everything else is like under $300. What about you?
I've got pretty much under $600. Under $600, and the stuff I brought is mostly mechanical too. So that's pretty cool, I think, for that price range.
Well, I think there's a myth that you cannot buy a cool mechanical watch for not a lot of money, which is not true at all. You definitely can. Sorry about that. I hope that didn't make it into the podcast. We're gonna find out. If my girlfriend's text message just dinged through our headphones and on the podcast, We're going to need to fix that. Hopefully it didn't. So I have what my watches represent: mechanical, automatic, quartz, and full digital with several integration. Where do you think we should start? Should we start at the bottom end or the cheapest, or where do you want to start this, man? We got so many different watches here.
I say we start at the cheapest.
The cheapest?
Yeah.
All right. What's your cheapest watch?
My cheapest watch? I think we start with your cheapest watch.
Well, the cheapest watch I have is actually the one I use to test the autofocus right there. That's
okay,
that's
the
a
Timex.
Timex.
Yep.
This is a Timex chronograph. It's a quartz watch with a date. This watch, actually, when I browse Reddit watches, I see a lot of people post this as their first watch. I actually ordered this on Amazon, and I got it for $42.
Wow.
Next day shipping for free. And I mean, honestly, of the $42, that's probably like a $12 or $14 NATO strap on it, even by itself. But I think it's a very attractive watch.
Yeah, I think it's a great design. I like the easy to read. You've got the chronograph, so it looks a little more sporty as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a watch. If you were actually, and it even says it's an Indiglo face. Remember Indiglo?
Yeah,
Like,
wow.
iridescent. I think the Chrysler 300M gauges was what was really the end of Indigo for me. Once they took it, I was like, ah. But for $40, I think this is a good quartz chronograph watch.
Yeah, it's a solid deal.
Not bad. All right. So that's 40. What's up with my coughs today? I'm so sorry, people. Is there a battery in that? I have a feeling that for $40, it's possible they don't give you the battery. Or was there a tab on the crown?
It's got a battery. It's got a tab on the crown.
Okay. I got to return that.
Yeah. One thing I'll show people real quick.
Oh,
if you ever have
there we go.
If you ever have one of these quartz chronographs
Uh-huh.
and you notice your hands are off, maybe by a second or two, you see how these the center second hand is off, and then the other chronograph up by 2 o'clock is off.
Oh yeah, because right now you've reset it and they're off. Yeah.
So you just pull the crown out, and then you hit the button, and you see how this one's gonna rotate around.
Uh-huh.
You can reset it to where it's
there you
supposed
go.
to be.
Now what about the other one?
The other one, I'll do that one.
Oh,
And
there
you
you
just
go.
reset it. Oop, I went past.
Oh, you messed it up.
But
well, that's how
see,
you would
see
do
what I'm
it.
saying. So if you have that issue, you can just pull the crown out and hit those buttons and correct it.
I think I remember doing that on my Shinola as well when I had the Shinola. But I think that is a good-looking watch. I'm actually a fan of Timex at the lower end. Here's another Timex. We'll make a jump, but just we happen to be on Timex. Throw this one under there because I thought this is a really good design. That's a Timex flyback chronograph. That's $100. That was $120. Same Amazon Prime. They came in the same package. The band is a pretty cheap, cheesy, not nice feeling leather band. Like it's not a good. We should talk about the levels of leather at some point. Do you know all the leather qualities?
Yeah. Well, at this price point, it might not be leather.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. When we have Jonathan Ward on, he'll go through all the leathers with us. But this watch has a whole bunch of different functions, and man, I think this looks like a lot more expensive than $120.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because the dial, you have some like an odd design for the dial, so it almost looks like it's got more complications going on.
Yeah.
Like an equation of time watch almost.
Kind of,
with
yeah.
this. Yeah.
I'll look up, I'm going to pull the comparison over here for the equation of time if you explain what the complications that are actually on this watch do.
Okay. This one's got the tab on the crown as well.
Oh, sorry.
So you've got sorry, I'll
Are
try.
you back there?
Yeah, I'm back there.
You got to do it under the camera, man. Otherwise, they won't be able to find you.
So you've got over here on the bottom, you've got your minutes, which is this hand, and it goes up, and then it'll jump back down. And then you've got over here your hours, and that's going to move up and then jump back down as well. And of course, you have the center, the long hand here is your second hand for the chronograph. So it's just a different way. Instead of having the circular dials like the other one, where it's going around circular, this one will actually move an arc and then snap back.
Snap back. Hence the fly back.
Yeah.
which you explained to me so helpfully. Here's the equation of time watch that he was talking about for comparison.
There you go.
So compare this guy, which is how much are these?
That one's probably a few $100,000.
Is that actually a tourbillon in a globe?
Yeah, it's a gyro tourbillon.
That's so awesome. It's how much we're talking. We're talking probably 100,000 for this, right?
More than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and we go from 100,000 to $120.
Yeah.
But I actually was considering keeping this one instead of sending it back because I think it's a really nice watch and I could wear it in instances that are where I'm very likely to smash my watch and didn't want to risk a good one. But I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
What else do we have here for inexpensive recommended type of watches?
Well,
Where do you time one from your pile? You brought in a bunch of good ones.
Let's go to a bracelet here. This Seiko is a pretty nice deal here.
I am very pleased with our new camera system. That is nice. Although are we getting some glare on the side there? What's happening here? What's up with this glare situation?
Let's try this.
Oh no. There we go. Yeah, pretty good.
Where are we getting that from?
Is that a quartz watch, this Seiko?
This is actually an automatic.
It's an automatic watch?
Yeah.
That can't be a cheap watch. That's so pretty. How much is that?
These can be had for about $200, maybe even less.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What year is this from?
This is a current watch.
This is a brand new watch?
Yeah, this is a brand new current watch.
Oh, really? Wow.
And it's actually a really pretty watch. It feels like it's made well. The bracelet is a nice, kind of like the oyster bracelet.
I wish I had one.
It's
I
well
didn't have
done
one today. It looks very similar to an oyster bracelet.
It's got
Seiko can make a really comfy bracelet.
Yeah, blued hands, applied steel numerals, the indices there, not numerals. Sorry. You've got day and date. It's a nice watch, and the finishing on the case and bracelet is really nice.
Dude,
but it's just a really inexpensive automatic movement that goes in there.
Wow, it's got a display back.
Yeah,
it's not like an ugly movement. I'm gonna put this thing on. Did you just buy this for this?
Yeah.
You bought this for this show?
Yeah, I picked that up just for the show.
Wow. Yo, Seiko's cheap watch game is tight. Look at that, huh?
Right?
That's actually, I have a big wrist, like an 8-inch wrist. This is like a 39 or 40 maybe? 40 millimeter?
I think a 39 millimeter.
39 millimeter?
Yeah, but it's got a nice thickness to it because it's an auto.
Oh my God, this is going to prepare people. I'm going to put my wrist under the thing. Oh no. Is that the hair? The hairiness. Will it focus?
It should.
Too close? What if I do that? No?
It's focusing. It's working on it.
I can't actually see. I can't have my hand under there and see at the same time. We'll take it off.
Yeah.
That's a very comfortable watch. It's got a good weight to it.
Right?
Wow. $200 with an automatic movement on this guy? Oop. Spin you.
But
Dude,
I like this one just because
not,
it feels like a nicer watch. It looks like a nicer watch.
Wow.
But it happens to be really inexpensive, and it's automatic.
That's actually a very impressive watch.
Yeah.
Seiko, their game is so tight. And you brought another Seiko as well.
Yeah, I have another Seiko.
Let's go to the other Seiko.
So the other Seiko is a pretty well-known one, actually. It's one of their dive watches.
I see these a lot. These are really popular. I like it's got the big ring.
Yeah.
It's bold, really easy to read. It's got a good loom to it.
Right.
Are these called turtles? Is that what this is? A turtle?
I don't know the Seiko lingo, but it's the SKX 07.
SKX 07. Let's see. Turtle Prospects. I'm looking up. Is that the same thing?
No, so that one's going to be a newer. The Prospects is a newer version.
What is it? SKX?
SKX 07.
Oops. I put 007 because I think I'm James Bond. There it is. SKX 07. Jubilee bracelet.
Yeah.
What's this going?
Now, I don't like the Jubilee bracelet. On a Rolex, it's beautiful because it's executed really nicely. On this watch, it's very cheap and it doesn't fold over nicely. I don't recommend the bracelet.
Can you get it with other bracelets?
You can get it on a rubber strap, or it's such a cheap watch. Just buy it on the bracelet and then put it on a NATO or something.
On eBay right here for $200. Buy it now. Not bad.
And you can pick them up for even less. I think this one was $140 on Amazon.
But I see these on these look good on all different kinds of straps.
Yeah.
Like NATO straps and rubber straps, and it's got a good.
Yeah.
Really, that's a solid
automatic ISO certified
bezel
dive
sound.
watch.
Yeah, you can put this on for $200 and go on a proper dive with this.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I would recommend is just find another strap for it.
Yeah.
Get it and then make it your own with a NATO or a rubber strap or even a leather strap. They look nice on
like one
on
of those
some of these
kind
style.
aged, like that, like the aged,
on something like this.
aged
If you're
leather
not going to
strap.
actually go in water,
I think, Cameron, there's a button that says exposure here, plus and minus, and you can hit that button. See that? Boom! Oh,
there we go.
It is. Look at that. Yeah, it looks nice.
right?
Oh, I'm so happy with our new camera setup.
Yeah, that's
If you're missing out on by not doing watch and listen on YouTube,
making cheap watches look good.
we're making the effort, people. It's very rare that someone like me listens to feedback. Honestly. So what is this thing? This is Russian.
Yeah, this is one of those Russian dive watches or submarine watches, whatever they call them. But it's got rotating bezel on there as well. No numbers, but it's got the red scale and then the black. And it's a manual wind. So it's an older one. You can find them on eBay. You won't find them new. But if you check on eBay, you can pick these up for next to nothing, probably $100 or less.
So here's the thing with the Russian watches on eBay. I brought a Russian watch as well, and I showed it in our first episode as well. And it's not unlike your watch, as a matter of fact. But this watch was sold in some sort of shady lingo as being an authentic Cold War era Soviet watch.
Yeah, most
What
of them
are
are
the odds
not.
that is true?
0.
Okay, what about yours though?
Mine, I believe, is an authentic old
And
era. It's not like it's not an old movement being put into a brand new cheap case with dial and hands.
okay, so yours is original and
Yeah.
mine is the tourist version,
Yeah, exactly.
which I'm okay with. I don't care. Mine was $100.
Yeah.
I don't.
And actually, yours has a better movement than mine. The original stuff was worse. It was crappier movements, lower quality than the newer stuff that's being kind of reproduced.
It doesn't matter. We are all going to die anyway. The world, we will blow each other up. Why we make something that lasts?
Yeah.
Ugh, vodka. The Komandirsky one.
Yeah.
Mine is. I agree. Actually, the movement is not horrible. Here, wait. I'll pull the thing back out again. I'm gonna have to make you put the NATO strap back in.
And I'll take the case back off of this one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, take that off. So this has actually a cool looking movement, but I wore it on a hike once, and my hand kind of sweated a little bit, and it literally like fogged up the inside the inside of the watch. It was not good. Would you break that?
No, I have to align it. Hard to do with the microphone in my face.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Are we just gonna go take a look at the movement of that thing?
Yeah, might as
Cool.
well.
When you open and close, I mean, I don't expect that Russian watch is waterproof no matter what. But if you were to take, say, a watch that's freshly been serviced, call it for all intents and purposes a Rolex Submariner, take the back off it, take a look at it, put the back on it. Does that affect the waterproofing at all?
Definitely.
It does.
Yeah.
All right.
Every time a watch is opened or closed, it should be tested.
Every time.
Every time.
So are you going to take these home and test them if you take the backs off them?
No, because I never wear this, and
Anywhere near water? Or period.
if
You
I
never
if-
wear it,
yeah, I
period.
never wear it. Period. If I wore it, I would want to test it because even if you just wear it and it's hot out, it could fog up just from the moisture.
So once you take the back off of that, there you go. Das movements.
There we go.
You can kick mine out of the way there. And boom. There she is. Actually, it kind of looks...
See?
It actually looks just like a miniaturized version of mine, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's... Oh, sorry about that.
It's not hugely different. Actually, no, it is a lot different, isn't it?
I mean, they're both manual winds. As far as watches go, they're pretty different. They share the manual wind aspect.
Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, they're made of metal and have wheels.
So what is your movement?
I don't know the movement number. I haven't opened this watch up since I was a little kid, actually.
So where would that movement have come from? Just some anonymous Soviet movement factory?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Well, not anonymous, but there was a few factories. I don't know too much about it. I'm sure there's some some Russian watch geeks out there that know a lot about it, because there are people that research a lot and they're looking for the certain ones, because there are some that are really quite unique and rare.
Were there any like Russian innovations in watches?
Not that I'm aware of. Just making it cheap. Really, being able to supply a lot of watches.
I just googled
that was what
Soviet
they were going for.
Innovation in watchmaking, and well, I mean, there's something on Collectors Weekly how the Soviets. All these watches look like mine.
Yeah.
The Soviets, they really had a style, didn't they? I think they look cool. That's a nice little pretty movement. You know, but here's the redeeming quality. As you said, they're cheap.
Yeah.
And so if you want a fully mechanical watch, like this was this Russian thing was my first fully mechanical ever, and it's a no risk. It's really a small risk to get one of these things.
Yeah.
They're fun to play with, actually, and I do enjoy this one as sort of a a costume piece or whatever to wear once in a while.
Yeah, definitely.
So Russia is a good place to look if you want cheap watches, and for that, the internet is your best friend. And then if we're gonna bounce around the Far East, I'm gonna throw someone under the bus. Can I scratch the name off this fucking thing? I want to. Here's one that I can honestly tell you probably shouldn't mess with. Here, wait, how do I get some exposure here? Is that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. Wood. Since we started talking about watches more, at least every couple of weeks, somebody emails me and asks me about wood. About should I get this wood watch? And when I didn't really know anything about watches, I thought this could be a good idea, and it is not. Wood like absorbs.
Yeah, it's not a good material for watches.
It absorbs all kinds of things. I don't know how you make something totally watertight that is made of wood. I'm sure there's maybe a way to do it.
It's like they all seem to be hybrids of pieces of metal that then have chunks of wood glued to them.
Yeah.
And the wood falls off, the wood cracks, the wood gets moldy and has mildew. And
yeah, like this watch was sent
bad
to me, and actually when it arrived, like one of the links had like broken in half. I mean, literally just had snapped because it was made of fucking wood.
Yeah.
like you could, these watches, the pins that hold in the strap on your average watch are pretty strong. You can give them a really good tug and not like break them, but you could actually just like, I'm tempted to just do this and just snap this thing right now because to show I can, but I feel like that's extremely disrespectful when I could just be a little more respectful and honestly say, don't buy a wood watch. But I just, that's the end. That's the end of that. On a more positive note, what else? What is that?
This one here.
Yeah.
This is actually a pretty cool watch. I like this a lot for digital watches.
Digital watches.
Dude,
digital watches are now in deep in the ironic cool phase. You can hipster the fuck out with a calculator watch or a basic digital watch.
Yeah, one of the old school digital watches, definitely. And I had one of those calculator watches. I don't know if I'd ever want one again, but I did have one.
I dated a girl who had a gold calculator watch that I think she spent like $80 or $90 on, and she got more compliments on it than I've ever gotten on any watch I've ever worn.
Wow.
Yeah, craziness. But so this one seems pretty basic. Suunto?
Actually not basic at all.
Not basic at all.
Yeah. This watch actually has GPS in it. It has the potential to hook it up Bluetooth to your cell phone as well, so it'll get messages and things like that. It vibrates and alerts you, and all these things like that. You actually see back here those 4 little dots on the side there. You have to charge it up. Battery lasts for about 14 days.
Oh,
but it's the Suunto Traverse Alpha,
made in Finland.
Yeah,
is this a new watch?
This is a brand new watch. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is this what Tyler was talking about?
It's similar, yeah. I believe this is from the same general line, but they have a few different versions. And this one is kind of geared towards outdoorsmen. I think the one he was talking about.
How much is this thing?
This is like $350 to $450 if you get it on Amazon.
I like these things. Suunto. Wait, I'm trying to find. Oh, here it is. Is this it, right?
Yep,
the Traverse Alpha Woodland.
Alpha
$500.
Yep.
So let's see all the things that it can do.
So you've got your compass in there because that's actually Suunto's first thing they did was they were making compasses.
So wait. GPS nav. So like, is it when it says navigation? Is it really navigation?
So since this watch is made for people that are in the outdoors, it's kind of like a hunting and fishing watch, and also for trekking, hiking.
Functions for fishing, hunting.
So if you wander into the woods,
yeah,
you can actually track your route by GPS. It'll tell you your elevation. It'll follow your route, and then you can actually look at the map and follow your route back home if you get lost.
Like breadcrumbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, interesting.
If you also find maybe a good fishing hole, you can plot the GPS point and come back later.
Wow. I guess that's the only thing you'd really use it for when fishing, right? Is there a fish finder app?
I don't think there's any fish finder, but it's got
to those crazy to like an Oculus.
It's got barometer and also moon phase and things like that. So you can.
Pretty cool.
I guess that helps when you're trying to find a good place and good time for fishing as well.
I guess, yeah. Oh, sunset, sunrise, sunset times. It's good to know. Like if I've got 45 minutes to sunset. That's nice. Yeah, dude. Night vision goggle compatible.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. All right. That's pretty cool.
I think it's a pretty cool watch. It's got the altitude. It's got the GPS, all the tracking of everything, sunrise, sunset. It also has a function where when you fire your gun, it will actually it will record, I think, your coordinates and everything. Yeah.
Evidence.
So for the hunter.
It keeps track of evidence. Yeah. That's great if you're shooting your gun at a deer. If you're shooting your gun at a human, that's not good.
Could be trouble.
Well, in the vein of digital, I'm going to offer up my digital option, which you probably have to kind of like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to hold this one.
You have to hold it down. We may not. This is the G-Shock.
Yeah.
I love my G-Shock. This one was a gift from my friend Carl Ruiz. Shout out to Chef Carl Ruiz. Sabor Chef on Instagram. It is what I wear when I go to the gym. It weighs like nothing. It weighs like an ounce. Actually, this one, the basic version of this watch is like $65. This one has a carbon fiber strap, and the body of the watch or the case of the watch is actually titanium. It says on the back. So this one is like $250, so that's like the most expensive version of this watch. But it has it's solar powered. You see, it says LAX there because it does auto time zoning, which is great. And I use it to when I'm at the gym or when I'm riding my bicycle or when I am in the ocean. This is my go-to watch. It weighs like nothing. It's cool. So it's relatively affordable at $250 for what you get. And you can also be a watch snob because those are kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
And you have to get them in Japan. And so, but like me as a watch guy, if I saw you rocking that thing, I would like stop you and be like, where'd you get that? Here's mine. You know, where we'd be definitely in the same club with that G-Shock. And let me see that thing, Cameron. What I also like about this is it has this strap that's really easy to do. It has a huge strap. So you could be either like a giant and as I put it on backwards like an asshole. You can be a giant and fit this watch, or you can put it on over your jacket or over your wetsuit or over your, whatever kind of like I got a big tail there.
Yeah,
like most watches, I've got 1, 2, 3. I have an extra 5 holes on this one, and I have an 8-inch wrist, so you can put it over your outfit if you're one of those like need it on the outside of your wrist guys. Yeah. If you're a sailor.
Well, yeah, if you're skiing or sailing or anything where you need to have a jacket on or a wetsuit.
Yeah. This thing is great. It weighs nothing. Nothing at all. So cool. 20 bar resist. What's 20 bar? So
20 bar is 660 feet.
So that's as you can dive. So you dive with it. That's as deep as you're ever gonna go.
Yeah,
probably much deeper than you're ever gonna go. Cool. All right, what is next on our cheap watch list? Let's bounce back to. Should we go into the fashion brands?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to go.
So these are interesting. So I've got two watches from Movement and then a watch from Vincero. And full disclosure, both of these brands have advertised on the Smoke and Tire YouTube series, and that is why I have these watches. So must. Oh, you want to fix me there, Cameron?
There we go.
So these are from Movement. And we need to turn. I think we need to turn down the exposure a bit on that camera as well. Yeah. So, man, isn't this great? This new camera. So on the left, we've actually got the Movement dive watch with date and a rubber strap, and on the right, we've got a more fancy kind of dress up chronograph style watch. What do you think of these things, Cameron? These things are between $100 and $150 each. They are quartz movements. And, the one on the left, it does say 100 meters on it. So, it's a low-risk proposition.
I'm not going to dive to 100 meters to test it, but I think you'd be fine getting in the water with it. It seems like it's got good quality build, and I actually like the dial design on it. It's kind of different how it's got the 2, 4, 8, and 10. It's you don't really see that too often. Usually it's you got your 3, 6, 9.
Here it is. I'm gonna pull it up on their website. This thing is $145. The Mariner, and actually, my favorite thing about this watch is flip it over, Cameron. This watch has a quick release strap, so it's got these little levers next on the pins for the strap, and you actually can change the straps out like in 5 seconds without a tool. And I think other companies why don't the higher end companies adopt that? That seems like a pretty cool.
There are some higher end companies that do that, and actually, Cartier, I believe, just came out with a quick change system. But Patek,
they do quick change
I believe
as well?
they've always done that with their watches.
I have limited Patek experience. So
yeah, me too.
Good on them. But the Movement watches, the chronograph one with the steel band. The steel bands are, for $150, you're not going to get a great steel band. I mean, for comparison, like a Rolex band is like $1,000 for a Rolex Oyster band. So by itself. So there's just at this price.
That's if you buy it used.
That's if you buy it used. Yeah, I don't even know what it costs to buy it brand new. But I think for $150, these watches are nice. They're pretty well made. They have sapphire crystals. They have a good weight to them. I like the rubber strap on the diver a lot. I may even take that and put that on a more expensive watch. And then we've got this Vincero watch, which is right here. So also these guys sent me these two as advertisers. But Vincero, what Movement does really well is they have a huge catalog of designs. Huge. Like, we'll just go back to Movement's. We'll go get their men's watches here. Yeah. Come on. Oh, boy. All men's watches. And the number of watches that they have available is pretty massive. And they have some designs that really look very different from each other.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something that is an interesting watch, something you like the look of, but don't necessarily know if you're going to like the look of it in a year.
Yeah,
they are a great choice, because it's inexpensive, and you get to try something out, make a little collection of inexpensive watches, see what kind of things you like and don't like, instead of investing thousands of dollars and then realizing, oh, you know what, I don't like a white dial watch because it's too much glare or whatever that might be.
Or like the Daytona I thought was so cool until I spent 10 days with it and went, oh my God, I can't tell the time on this thing.
Yeah.
But these guys, you could buy a watch that's like specific to one outfit. You know, if you had an outfit that you needed to match a watch to, you could make that work. So that's Movement. And then here's Vincero, another sort of fashion watch house. They have a pretty big selection as well. Wait, hang on. I'm trying to pull up their website at the same time. My body can only do one thing at a time. I'm sorry. And
I think that's the watch we've got up there. Just
it is
gold-plated case.
yeah,
and,
they offer a few different designs here, and that's they've got it in gold, they've got it in blue, they've got it in black, and so they have a lot of different designs as well. So Vincero uses a Citizen Miyota movement, quartz movement. Some of their watches have a display back. I can't remember. Does that one, Cameron? Flip that thing over.
Nope.
No? What's on the back of that?
It
It
looks
says
like
Vini Vidi Vici.
it looks like a solid case back.
It's you know what this one
not-
has? That's
I don't know
actually
what that is.
It's Italian marble.
Oh, okay.
That's got
I was like, that's not steel.
yeah, no. Some of the Vinceros have the window. This one
Okay.
has Italian marble. It's actually quite funny. You want to? Can you take the back off of that?
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead,
can.
take the back off that one. Did your tool work for that? I like your removal tool there. So I think these watches also, especially, I'm not a big fan at this price point of the quality of the leather straps, but you could certainly get your own strap and make it your own, whether that's like a vintage look strap from somewhere or whether it's a NATO or a rubber strap or something else. You can definitely. Does Vincero have the quick release as well? How
They
about
do.
that?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it.
You can actually add that to any strap.
It's
What
just
you
the pins,
do,
and
yeah.
you cut a hole.
Well, if you find a watchmaker, there's a special tool that will cut that hole. It's like a little hole punch thing,
Really?
and they can put any strap in there and punch that hole, and then you just buy this spring bar from them. They could
that's
order it maybe if they don't have that
Oh.
that spring bar size for you.
Oh, that's convenient. So
But-
what is that thing you just put? You just put that in just to give you more leverage?
Yeah, because if I try and hold on to the strap itself, if anyone wants to see
Oh,
this,
here I'll go back. You wanna? I don't know if that'll
let's
work.
see. Let's
You may
do
have
this.
To, you may have to raise it. Yeah. Look at this adjustable autofocus.
If I was to hold on to the strap,
Yeah.
I could rip the strap.
Totally.
Or the watch is gonna go sideways in my hand and I'll scratch it. So I load it into here with the strap off, and these are just blocks.
Just like a handheld watch vise.
Yep.
Cool.
And I just hold the vise basically, and I'll then twist the case back off with this tool.
Cool. Give us a little twist, Betty. Does it require like muscle? Oh yeah, a little like for
Yeah.
just like opening a jar of jelly.
Yeah.
All right, what do we have inside? I hope we're not. We're only. I only thought to open this one because I have 4 Vincero watches, so I don't necessarily care about the seal. And it looked like it had a nice back worth opening with this Italian marble.
There
Okay,
you go. So
what are
there's a Miyota chronograph there.
easy.
Right?
Yeah, clean. Is there anything worth noting in that movement there, Cameron?
Not particularly.
It's
Not particularly.
it's a
You
quartz
have,
movement.
You have a nice
There's a battery.
Sony. You have a nice Sony battery in there, which is a good thing.
I guess we're not using the real terrible batteries. We're
Yeah.
using quality batteries. There you go. Vincero watches, you get a good battery too. No, I mean, look, there's granted, it's hard to go in depth with a lot of these fashion type watches. They're fairly reliable, if cheap, movements, but they seem to be constructed pretty well for the money. I mean, they're not hunks of shit or anything. They're nice.
Yeah.
Your money goes pretty far. I think actually, if you look at the case and the strap and all that, do you feel, and you can be better than me at this, if we look at this Timex here, and we look at this movement watch, and we take a Vincero watch, and we take a Russian watch, is there any drastic swing? And be honest, I don't care. They advertise on the other show, not this show. So, is there a drastic swing one way or the other in terms of quality?
I don't think so. Really, the one thing that I don't like about Timex are the snapbacks.
Oh, the what?
The snapbacks. Instead of a screw down back, you see
What are we looking at here?
on the Timex.
I think we may need to go get a little closer, little
Yeah.
little zoomy in, and maybe a little exposure adjust. There we go.
Okay.
You're now director of photography over there.
So on the movement watch, we've got these little notches, and the case back will actually twist.
And is
you
that more like a
unscrew it.
traditional Swiss watch will do that?
No, it's not necessarily more traditional. The snapbacks are more traditional,
Okay.
but they're not very good with water resistance. They're not very good for the long-term wear of the watch. As you unsnap, And by unsnapping, you essentially take a blade and you put it in between the case back and the case.
Wait,
and
like
you
a paint
pop it
can?
off. Yeah, like a paint can.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So
That's really how you do that?
yeah. So I'm not a big fan of that because the case backs tend to deform over time.
Yeah, like a paint can would if you kept opening it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll see that a lot on vintage watches before they had water resistant watches. And it was fine because you didn't expect the watch to be water resistant. But now with one of these watches, you want it to be water resistant.
Yeah, at least for purposes of hand washing and the odd shower. Oh wow, okay. So that is a notable difference.
Yeah.
If you really plan on spending time in the water.
Yeah, and
Maybe
if
not.
you're going to own it long enough to have to replace the battery,
That's true.
maybe
yeah.
3 or 4 times, you might want to consider trying to get a screw down case
That's
back.
a good point.
Yeah.
That is a good point. And then so to go, it looks like, but it seems like based on what we've got here, you can get into a mechanic. If what you want is a mechanical watch, right? You can get into a mechanical watch for the same money as you can
Of
for
course,
the price
yeah.
of a Movement or a Timex or whatever.
Yeah, you could get into
get
a
a Russian watch, or you
or
could
a
get,
Seiko
or
even.
even a Seiko.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have, if we bump it up just a little bit, you've
Yeah.
got this Hamilton, which actually I think is pretty cool. Wait.
So
I jumped the gun too early on the camera there.
if you bump
That's
it
a
up,
good, Hamilton makes a really nice looking watch.
right?
That's a good looking watch.
And this is one of the best deals I think for a watch that has a Swiss movement in it. So that's going to be the difference in price
Is this like the
between
ETA?
this and the Seikos. Yeah. So this has an ETA 2824 automatic movement, which is one of the least expensive automatic movements that they make, but it's still a good Swiss made automatic, and it's been around a long time.
Why? I mean, okay, so it's an inexpensive automatic movement. It's just, is it not finished well? Is it not reliable? Is it not, I mean, devoid of anything resembling a precious metal? What is the
reason it's inexpensive, it's been around a long time,
Okay.
and it was engineered and designed to be stamped out.
Mm-hmm.
So all the parts, they actually have tooling to stamp them.
Oh, so as opposed to being
to
cast
machining,
or
yeah.
milled or anything like that.
Yeah. So all the tooling is pretty old, and they've just been making these movements for a very long time. So with the number of them that they're making, the stamping process allows them to make it really inexpensive, and it's also assembled in a completely automated fashion.
Oh, no humans.
Yeah. There may be a couple humans on the line, depending on which factory it's assembled in, but there are assembly lines in Switzerland and also in other places.
By other places, did you mean places that are maybe a little warmer than
Yeah.
Switzerland?
Yeah. There are other places that Swiss watches can pretty much be made, and then they go to Switzerland for the final checks, and the final check in Switzerland costs so much that it then makes the watch Swiss made.
Wait. So you're telling me that a watch movement can be made of stamped parts by robots and or possibly indentured servants in a country that is probably not so kind to its citizens, and or I doubt few people have air conditioning, and yet they would then ship this movement to Switzerland, where the Swiss would check it, go through their checklist, and the checklist, not where it was made, is what makes it Swiss made.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah,
The world is a lie.
You see that in the lower end more so. The main thing you're paying for is the quality control and the designing and engineering that is Swiss. So
Right.
knowing that they can achieve really great timekeeping standards, the timepiece is going to work, there will be service down the line. With a lot of inexpensive watches, you might have a hard time getting any kind of service or replacement parts.
Yeah, I was told. I asked my guy, my local, service guy, about the steam in that, and he said you throw it in a bag of rice, which is what I ended up doing. But yeah, he said, if it's broken, you should throw it in the garbage. That was pretty much what he said. It is not worth serving, but servicing. But this Hamilton, how much is that?
This Hamilton was, I think the MSRP on it's around like $600 or something like that.
That's not bad.
But you can find them for less money. because they really are a mass-produced item,
Yeah.
but they're still really good quality. I don't like the strap that's on this one, and I absolutely hate the buckle. But
Well, that's easy to change.
Yeah, I think the watch itself is a good deal. You get a Swiss automatic movement and a nice design from a company that has some heritage, and you have service down the line as well with Hamilton.
I like their font choices.
Yeah.
They're good font. And you can get that. What is the service cycle like on that watch? When it stops working?
On this watch?
Yeah.
Service cycle by...
I mean, like, was it, I know they say every 5 years or whatever, but with a watch like this, it's really like...
With a
when
watch like this,
stops
it doesn't
working.
matter. Yeah, because...
You don't service it if it works.
When you send a watch like this into the Swatch Group for service, they're going to replace the movement. They're not going to service the movement.
Yeah.
So the reason on a more expensive watch you would want to service it regularly is because you don't want the parts to wear. Because when the parts wear, that means they have to replace them, and that's going to cost you money. But also, if you're interested in keeping the original parts.
Yeah.
A lot of times you want to try and keep the original parts functional rather than wearing them out.
Yeah.
But it's really personal preference. Some people just, it can be cheaper sometimes, depending on the brand, to just wait until the watch stops and then fix it.
Yeah, when I was at Ulysse Nardin, that was what the guy said. The head watchmaker said, if it's telling time, don't send it in.
Yeah.
And that's a guy who sells $100,000 watches saying that stuff. So crazy. I want to end this. I want to bump it up. Oh yeah. If we want to go, so that was 600. This is a little bit more than that, but not much. It's not cheap by any means, but I'm not going to call it expensive either. This is an interesting watch, and do not think your eyes are going out of whack. Cameron, move the watch back and forth a little bit. This is called a Seiko Lordmatic, and I think the next step between like a cheap watch and a nice watch to me is a vintage Seiko or vintage Japanese, which is very hot right now. So this watch was around $700, and it's small. It's a 36 millimeter. You could be on QVC camera doing it like that.
I'm working on my QVC hands right now.
And actually, Cameron, will you pull out the crown and change the day? This has the day. It has a day in. It has day and date, and the day also has an alternate day in kanji. So you can go. There you go. So now we've got a Japanese day.
Yep.
This is really cool, though. My favorite thing about this watch is the I don't know the terminology for this, but it's like a jewel cut crystal. Whatever. What do you call that?
Faceted crystal.
Faceted crystal.
Yeah.
So it's cut like you would cut a diamond ring.
Yeah.
And it makes all kinds of really cool reflections. It's a little fragile, this watch. I got it for Hannah about 8 months ago. It's a men's watch from Japan from the 70s, which means it fits an American woman from the 2018. And in the first 6 months, she was wearing it every day, and the crystal fell off it once. We were able to recover it, thank God. And then the second hand fell off it again, and so I had to. I ended up buying her a Rolex because she obviously needed something a little tougher. But she loves this, and I think that vintage Seiko in general. I have an old one too, but it is in service as well. So this is the one I brought out. But I think vintage Seiko is on its way up. They were like $100, and now they're 500 to 1,000, and I don't think they'll ever get as high as the really big money stuff. But you could probably buy one, wear it occasionally, or even all the time, and not really lose any money.
Yeah.
So, but I think vintage Seiko is super, super cool. But I think actually the most impressive thing, I'm most impressed by what you can get from a current Seiko. This $200 current Seiko is awesome. Like, that is such a nice watch. Yeah. Well, look how much bigger.
Right.
Look how much bigger men's watches have gotten in so long. But I mean, obviously, you can see the family resemblance between the two. Seiko has they have great fonts. They have you
I ruined
messing it up.
Hey, hold on. I can fix this.
Our new camera is way better
Right?
than our old
That's
camera.
good.
That's so nice. The image is glorious, people. It's glorious. I really like Seiko. I love
Right?
what they do. I love how they're vertically integrated. They design and make everything just in house.
And whenever you print documents as well,
What do you mean?
Seiko's behind that.
I'm sorry.
These watches are made by Seiko Epsilon. So
sorry?
the printers.
You mean Epson?
Epson. Yeah, Epson.
Seiko
not
Epson?
Epsilon. Epson.
Epson. Seiko is the same company as Epson?
Same company. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they're
They don't tell anybody that.
the number, what is it? The statistic is something like the number one printer manufacturing company is also the number one watchmaker or something by
Seriously?
volume or something weird like that.
That is
Yeah.
so strange. I didn't know that. Wait,
Yeah.
Seiko Epson?
Yep.
What happens if you just Google Seiko Epson Corporation?
Yeah.
That's
so
the
if you
name
go
of
on
the
their corporate page, you can see their printers and their imaging. I think they also
That
do.
is so interesting.
Yeah, and watchmaking is a division.
Wow, here we go. So, where do you think Epson and Sports? Where do you think we find the management at a glance? Global network. How interesting.
Yeah.
Weird. Well, we just learned something. You get a printer and a nice watch.
Yeah.
And I like that you can go all the way from like $50 to $15,000 in a Seiko. You know?
Yeah, the Grand Seikos. Wow. Because really, you can go for this guy here, and then they've got a similar.
There's
we'll go closer.
Oh, wow.
Now. You
There's
can go for
a
this
watch.
dive
Wait,
watch.
if I go to what if I look up?
So look up the Grand Seiko diver.
yeah.
That one's I think $6,000.
Yeah, I have seen this guy. Right? Where is
Yeah.
it? Here. It's a good image. So here's we'll go back and forth. So here's our $200 Seiko diver, and then here's a Grand Seiko diver, which is like $10,000.
Yeah, and the Grand Seiko's beautiful. Technology-wise, it has all the high watchmaking that you'd expect in an expensive watch,
and an extraordinary level of detail.
Yeah.
Dude, the Grand Seiko attention to detail is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's just amazing that one company can do
Yeah.
both ends of the spectrum so well.
Where did I? There was another. Nope. There's another Grand Seiko diver, right? Which is the older one, which is this guy, right? Is it the same thing?
Well, the one you were just showing with that blue dial with the
Yeah.
square pattern on it, that's a special one.
Where's the older one?
Right
That
here.
one, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
The spring
not,
drive.
It's not a great comparison image, but if you go to the old one and the new one, I mean, it's not hugely different. I mean, it is, but you can get,
It's still
you
a
get-
Seiko, black dial, black bezel.
Yeah.
I
I love the power reserve gauges. That's so helpful.
yeah.
That's a useful thing. I think my personal choice for a watch for $200 is that Seiko right there is pretty sweet for $200. That's what
Yeah.
I'm at. And for $100, I think that the Timex flyback is nice. Although I would change the strap. The diver, the movement diver is also pretty good.
Yeah.
After looking at all these, where are you headed for your $100 to $200 watch purchase?
I would go for this.
You would still go-
I'd
you'd
go
still
for
go-
that white dial Seiko.
Oh, there
I
goes
think-
the diver.
I think
that
it's
looks-
gorgeous for the price.
That's
the
by
feel
far
of
the
it.
most expensive looking watch
Right?
here. Like
Yeah.
if you just showed me this, I mean, you did. I didn't know how
Right?
much you paid for this, and I thought this was like $500 or $600.
Yeah.
Easy.
The
I'm
movement is
shocked.
basic. Let's show the movement as well. I don't
Yeah.
think we did that.
Can you take? You may have to take the whole clasp apart. real
Yeah.
quick.
Let me just grab that tool.
I left the camera on the blank screen. Sorry.
Oops.
Sometimes I get so involved in the conversations while he's doing that. Make sure to follow Cameron on Instagram, Weiss Watch Company on Instagram. And look, his whole Instagram page is the travels of his beautiful watches with Volkswagens and coffee and all kinds of home goods. And then follow me on Instagram at The Smoking Tire. It's mostly cars, but also... Oh, we ready? Okay, now we can go back to life. Here is the back
All right.
of this Seiko. Is there?
See-
There's a sticker on the back of that, right?
There
Or
may
is that-
be.
You don't. If you got to
Yep,
return it.
there's a sticker.
There you go. 24 jewels.
Let's see how close this thing can go.
Da-da. Pretty good, dude. That's pretty good.
Is that nice?
I think.
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it.
Right? So
I
mean,
like
it's
it.
not a beautiful movement or anything. It's mechanical. You can see it, so you can kind of get an idea of how mechanical watches operate.
This
You
may
can see
sound like a
the
dumb
weight spinning.
question, but is it more expensive to make a display back or a solid back? It's got to be more expensive to make a display back, right?
Yes.
Okay. I know it's a dumb question, but I feel like a lot of watches have display backs when they don't have particularly nice movements to show off.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is being able to see the mechanism.
Just seeing that it's automatic at all.
Yeah, being able to see that in a $150, $200 watch, if you can't see the movement and you're told it's automatic, it doesn't introduce the same kind of thing as being able to look into it and be new to automatic watches and actually see it.
Yeah.
You know?
And when the movement is finished nicely, it's a really nice thing to have.
Yeah.
Well, that I think is a good overview. There's obviously a lot more cheap watches. There's so many affordable watches out there. And this is just an assortment of literally what we had combined with a couple things that are on the top of our heads to add. So I actually would turn it to the audience at this point, because cheap watches is an episode we could revisit many, many, many times over. So I would ask you all out there to leave a comment or with what should be included in our next cheap watches episode, because I'll revisit this.
Yeah.
For sure. Follow Cameron on Instagram, Cameron M. Weiss and the Weiss Watch Company. Buy a watch from the man. He has Volkswagens to fix and dogs to feed.
Yeah, and I have the Rover that needs fixing as well.
Yeah, he has an old Land Rover, so he really, really needs the money. Thanks for listening to us. Of course, thank you, Crown and Caliber. Thank you to Beeline Coffee. Thank you to you. We are on YouTube. We are on iTunes. We are on all the Android platforms. And we are, of course, on ShoutEngine, where you can get your own podcast about anything you want to talk about. Cameron, anything to add, brother?
No, that was an exciting show for cheap watches.
That was a good show, and I will see you next week, where we are talking, actually, we're going the other way with it next week. We're talking about complicated watches next week, where we take, I don't know, all these watches together are probably about a tenth of one of the watches we're bringing out for next week's episode.
You could buy one leather strap for one of the watches that we have next week.
For all of
these watches.
So that'll be a fun show. Stick around. Thanks for listening or watching. Watch and listen. Goodbye.